Recording in progress.
Oh. What's up, nerds? We are your hosts. I am Jake.
And I'm Chad.
This week we are sponsored by Ray's Energy Drinks.
We're also sponsored by Crybaby Craig's Hot Sauce.
This week we have a few guests on to talk about Battle of the Sketches. Sorry. I'm suppressing coughs right now because I'm a little sick. We have a few guests on the show to talk more about, as we've been doing, Battle of the Sketches, where we get to talk about some tips for battling burnout and their process for completing art pieces and deadlines. I also did not read the script before we started today, so
Yay!
yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
We'll also be talking about House of the Dragon, now streaming on HBO Max. It was the penultimate episode for the season, so let's get into it. This is the All Things Nerd Podcast. Nerd. Welcome back, nerds, to the All Things Nerd Podcast, your weekly dive into all things nerd. So, Jake, how was your week?
Not great. I've been sick all week.
It's not
Nicole
great,
was
Cotton.
sick. She got me sick. Yeah, it's been, you know. We work at the same place. I've been, yeah.
And it was funny because last week you're like, I think I got her sick, and I didn't get all that sick. I think I snuck by. And then you died.
Yeah, I died. Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. How was it?
Sorry.
How was your week, asshole?
I mean, my week has been boring. Haven't really done much. Literally just been like binging Modern Family in my free time.
How far are you?
I'm in season 9 out of 11, and I started it like a month ago. So
Nice. That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. If
Good
that
work.
tells you anything about how boring my life is most of the time.
I also, in advance, apologize everyone for any coughs and or sneezes you hear during this episode. I can't help them all.
And we're recording a little bit late because of said sickness.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to take the time and eliminate every single cough like I
Yeah.
normally would.
It's gonna be rough.
Yeah.
We're in this together.
Yeah. But this week is week 3 of our Battle of the Sketches collaboration. So if you have been following along or participating, we hope that you are. This week has been The Creature from the Black Lagoon. Jake, you're almost done with yours, and yours is sweet.
I can do a sneak peek if you want.
If you got it. In
I
the
got it.
meantime, I'll be telling them about how I have not started.
But you have tomorrow off, so you can.
Yeah, I have tomorrow off, so the day that it's due, I'll be one of those people that are just drawing on the due date. I just didn't get around to it, and I'm 100% it's on me because I had free time to do it. I was like, I don't wanna.
This is mine. I'm not done quite yet.
That is so sick, though.
It's fun. I did for those of you who can't see, I did like a sugar skull of the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, it's sweet. I really like it.
Yeah. It's a fun one. That was a fun one.
Today I guess technically I started because I used like a website where you can do like 3D models to like for posing. So I could at least get the posing right, and then took a screenshot so I have a point of reference for like proportions and stuff like that. But that's as far as I am so far.
I saw that. That was
Yeah,
weird.
my camera just freaked out. Sorry. Sorry for those of you that are watching.
I was like, did my cough cause that?
Probably. Sick son of a bitch.
We are gonna talk very briefly because we have so much to cover this week with our interviews. Oh, your camera's doing it again.
It like
we are gonna
autofocuses.
we're gonna very briefly talk about the finale of She-Hulk And the reason we're going to do it so briefly is because, in my opinion, as much as I like the show, it was very underwhelming. So we're going to kind
Right.
of breeze through that. As always, spoiler alert. If you haven't watched it, check it out.
Yeah.
Come back, listen. So,
I mean, it like you said, it was the finale. The show has been great, and also, like you said, the finale was a bit of a letdown. After we talked off camera, I understand a little bit more why you think it was a letdown. Because I really appreciated that it was all about Jen reclaiming the narrative to be about
mhm,
her instead of just things happening to her and around her.
yeah,
I mean, it involves a very dramatic, long fourth wall break where
yeah,
she literally like marches across like Disney and Marvel campus to talk to Kevin, Kevin. They basically made Kevin Feige an AI.
yeah. It was
His
like Eagle Eye,
Yeah,
basically.
it was funny just like knowing that his only complaint about that scene was when he saw the robot that was supposed to be him was that in concept art they just like had the robot with like a baseball cap sitting on top of it, and he's like, that doesn't make sense. Why would he wear a baseball hat? And they're like, that's your only problem? And he's like,
Yeah.
yeah. So then they just
Should,
like built it into like basically like a lens cap or a lens flare.
yeah. Should have been like a sports jacket with a t-shirt.
We love you, Kevin. Don't cancel us.
We do, yeah, yeah, don't please.
You have the power to destroy us.
It
And
would not be very hard to do. Uh,
no.
but yeah, no, and then my argument, and I will spend 30 seconds on this, was that basically everything that she did to reclaim her whatever, uh, she could have done by beating the shit out of this dude who hulked out, and uh, it was a very, they built up this whole season for a very climatic,
Climactic.
climatic
Whatever.
and it right as it was on the cusp, if you will, uh she pieced out and Karen, and the first thing she did was went to talk to the manager, and that was it. That was all she wrote.
Yeah.
Episode was over. It's super cheesy, in my opinion. I do like the show. I did like this episode, but those things were super cheesy. Sorry,
They
I
they
misworded that.
they could have done literally that entire fourth wall break and still had a finale scene of her being a badass.
Yeah.
Is kind of what you and I had talked about off camera, was
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
she goes to the AI of Marvel, Kevin, Kevin, the AI,
Yeah.
to eliminate like her cousin Bruce, Hulk showing up at the last minute. I mean, Todd taking basically her blood and injecting it into her to become
Yeah,
a
we get
Hulk.
Bro Hulk.
Yeah. Uh, Scarf Hulk, if you will.
Yeah.
Simon and Scarfunkel. And like a big fight breaks out. Titania shows up for no reason. Basically, just have like the epic showdown that we have come
Want
to
it.
known
Yeah.
and, wanted to some degree, but it was like almost too much for the episode to start. But when she went to go to talk to Kevin, she's like, we don't need this. We don't need that. We don't need that. Like, and then it just cuts back to her after the resolution of that showdown. Like, it
Hmm.
would have been really cool to see that showdown and actually see her be the badass that She-Hulk is while still reclaiming the narrative for herself. They could have done both, and that's where I was let down.
Yeah.
But I still really enjoyed the kind of like the message behind it of she is a strong woman character. She reclaimed the narrative for herself, and that was
Hmm.
awesome. It just would have been cool to actually see it as well. So
They,
I'm not as let down as you were.
I was very let down. They really built up to it, and then when you know what, this we didn't talk about. You know what it reminded me of? In and forgive me because I was dating somebody who was very into it at the time. This is years and years ago.
I know where you're going with this.
The ending of fucking Twilight, they fucking finally, after God, how many fucking
There's
horrible
the
movies did...
fourth movie, the
No, it
fifth
was the
movie,
end, the
fourth or fifth
final
movie.
movie. I don't know.
I think
I
there
don't
was
remember
only
how many
four.
there were. They were horrible. And when you finally got to the horrible fucking ending, they give you this huge battle, and I'm like, finally, something cool in in this fucking series, and it never happened. It was all a premonition that this bitch was putting on this dude's forehead so he could see that they were gonna lose if they did it. It was very reminiscent of that. That's what this finale was like. It was like we're gonna build up to this big thing, and then boom, not gonna give it to you. It
Yeah.
was dumb. I hated it. That the series and the episode itself were good. The ending was trash. Talk about Scar. I'm done.
Oh yeah. Uh, we get introduced to Scar, which is
Let me tell you about Scar. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. No, I'm
which
just
is
kidding.
Hulk's child from Sakaar. We don't know much about him except for the fact that he exists, but he doesn't look like Scar from the comics. So my thought is that it's a combination of Scar and Hulkling from the Young Avengers, which makes sense because they're very much teasing the Young Avengers.
Yeah.
But he has a very bad Gen Z haircut.
Yeah.
And it's not, but we don't know anything about what's going on. Hopefully it gets explained if we actually ever get World War Hulk or Planet Hulk or anything like that to kind of fill that gap.
If any of you have watched Family Guy, where Peter joins like the Gen Z and he gets like a man bun and starts riding around on a scooter, that's exactly what this
Yeah,
character
it's
looks like, but green.
he has like a buzz cut to the top knot, and that's about. He doesn't say anything. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm intrigued as to the story behind it because it definitely seems because Scar from the comics is very much like a savage, just like an angry, pissed off motherfucker.
And
But
I would
then
love
Hulkling is
to
like
show you a picture of
yeah.
Scar from the comics.
And Hulkling is from the Young Avengers. He's actually half Kree, half Skrull, but loves the Hulk, so he presents as a Hulk.
Yeah.
Very cool. Like both characters are awesome in their own ways, and this is kind of like it looks to be kind of like a blend between the two where I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't want to go too much into it because we got to get into this interview.
Yeah.
Still watch She-Hulk if you haven't, because
Yeah,
the
don't
show
listen to us.
is really good.
It's Nicole's favorite show right now.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
yeah, she
been
loves
very
it.
enjoyable. I've loved it the entire time.
Same.
Yeah,
I just thought the ending was.
it could have been more. It's still
Hold on. That's bad.
Yeah, it built so much, and a lot of the plot points that we're building to didn't shine through. So,
Sorry, one
we
of
can
my
see where it
dogs
goes.
is going ape shit upstairs. I could just hear it, just like pounding on the floor. I'm so
You're totally
sorry.
fine. Well, fuck, I don't know how to transition. With that being said, we're going to tell you a little bit about our first sponsor, which is Raise Energy Drinks. As you all know, it's a fantastic energy drink. 0 calories, 0 sugar, 0 crash. And if energy drinks aren't your thing, there's a lot more. I mean, there's protein pancakes, pre-workout, supplements, all of it. Listen up. We'll be right back with our interviews with some incredible artists and great conversation. But you can learn how to save 15% from Rep Sports and Raise Energy Drinks. We'll be right back. What's up, nerds? I wanted to take a minute and talk to you about Raise Energy, an incredible energy drink that provides max energy with 0 crash. Raise Energy takes a giant leap of faith with instilling a high-quality formula to bring a powerful, yet sustained, energetic experience to help you push your workouts and focus to the next level. Perfect for anyone at any time, and powered by their Refresh formula technology, Raise Energy delivers a performance-enhancing energy drink that aids in multiple different categories that include targeted focus, better recovery time, improved clean energy levels, and a boost in stamina and hydration. But most importantly, every can of Raise Energy has absolutely 0 calories, 0 sugar, and 0 carbohydrates to give you a smarter and healthier option. So don't settle for an energy drink that contains more sugar and carbohydrates than you can count. Instead, head over to repsports.com. That's REPPSPORTS.com and use the promo code NERDPODCAST at checkout for 15% off your order. Or if you don't know what you want, go ahead and click the link that's in the description to get a $50 sample pack for free. All you do is you cover the cost of shipping. Again, make sure you use promo code NERDPODCAST at checkout to let them know that we sent you. Welcome back, everyone. As you can see, we are here with some awesome guests. We'll let them introduce themselves here in just a second. But first off, everyone, thanks for being on the show. We're really excited to have you here.
Seriously. I guess to start, why don't you guys introduce yourselves? Who are you, and how long have you been doing this?
So I'll go first, Jake, Dustin Rogers. I've been doing this since Battle of Sketches in September of 2020. So coming up on just past 2 years, but have been, dabbling with art, my whole life.
Awesome.
Right on.
Okay.
My name is Vor. I've been doing the same Battle of Sketches for a while now. I don't remember how long, but I've been with Dustin for over a year now. And yeah, I love drawing, so figured why not.
How long have you been drawing for in total?
Me, since on and off throughout my whole life since I was like 4 years old.
Okay.
And then because of the pandemic, I got more seriously into it. And now all that's what I do is just freelance. I do commissions or, tattoo designs, whatever comes my way.
Awesome.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Joe. I've just been an artist ever since I was a kid. I grew up drawing. And more recently, I have been taking it up again. I think the pandemic, for a lot of us, it's just re-sparked something. And this group especially, everyone's super supportive. I think for me, the past year or so, I've been working on a little over a year with the Bots crew. But man, they give so much feedback, and just working off of each other, it's just kind of an amazing community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we've kind of noticed. I've only submitted 2 pieces. Jake has submitted a couple more in the past as well, but just through Jeremy and Ken, that's what we've noticed is that it's just so supportive, which is incredible to see. Because you have people from across the globe just hyping each other up. With that, before we get into the next question, where are you all from? Located?
Oh yeah, great question. I guess that should be part of the introduction, but yeah, I'm here in the U.S. So I live in Arizona. I'm in the South.
Sweet.
Okay.
I was born in Chile, but I've been living in the States for the past 20-something years.
Nice.
Okay.
Where in the States are?
North Carolina.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm originally from California, but right now I'm in New York City and in Brooklyn, and so there you go. It's okay, city, New York.
We should have met before, Jeremy. We could have hung out. I was in New Jersey before.
You should have told me.
Man, see,
this is the first time I'm actually seeing a lot of you guys' faces, though. Putting faces to actual Bots crews, because I just see your drawings. So I'm like, oh, I know who you guys are, but I'm just like, oh, I would have no idea who you guys are in real life.
Yeah. So Chad, before we jump in, I think that's kind of the funny thing about this community is, I've seen Vor and Jeremy because they both stream, but they've never seen me. And I've had the opportunity to meet a couple of the other participants and people that participate, like on Bernard Chang's stream in particular, in person. And it's kind of crazy to know someone for 2 years only by their hands.
Yeah.
Right? And then how you get to meet them in person.
It's kind of cool.
It's kind of surreal.
Yeah.
I feel it's very reminiscent of like when I was a kid, I used to play a lot of video games, and I made so many friends. You would play hours and hours of video games with people, and you would just never know who they are, and you would probably be best friends in real life. But then I probably would never meet them ever in real life.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, no, that's a really accurate like analogy, because I mean, even still to this day, I play online with a couple of people that like they know parts of my life, I know parts of their lives, just like close friends would, but I have no idea what they look like. So
The anonymity of the internet, you know?
yeah, exactly. So I mean, you've all been doing Battle of the Sketches, you know, for a little over a year. This is kind of a new sort of kind of like collaboration that we're doing with you all. But what are your thoughts on the drawing prompts for this month? You know, with it kind of being more of like a horror theme, is it that kind of within your style? Did you have any like struggles with trying to figure out how you're going to complete these pieces or anything like that?
So, yeah, I think, well, every month is always interesting. I mean, because I've drawn a lot more characters that I'm unfamiliar with than those that like I know and love, you know? And so this month was interesting because of what was chosen. It was a great theme for the month. But what's always challenging for me is, and especially as like a hobbyist, is coming up with the idea around what would that character be doing. And this month and this week in particular, I really wanted to draw a scene. Like if you were to go scroll through my Instagram or my previous posts, they're kind of like pin-up-y or like little one-shots. But here I wanted to try to tell a story like in a panel, right? And so, you know, that was a big challenge, or still is a big challenge for me. I've got it here in front of me. It's like, I don't know, maybe like 30% tenfold. But, you know, for me, the challenge is really like trying to fit it in and get it done like on time, because, you know, hitting that Wednesday deadline is really the big thing for getting the views and really getting the power of that supportive community that you referenced, you know, getting that turned in on Wednesday. I'm excited about this week, but yeah, it's been a challenge.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I like the prompts this month a lot more than other months sometimes, in a sense, because they're a lot more freeing, since they're like more like a like public domain sort of like characters. So it's like I was able to kind of like more easily imprint myself in the design of the characters. Like when I did the werewolf, I just wanted to make it as creepy as possible, but would not make it based on anybody else's rendition of the werewolf.
Mm.
So that's why I enjoy these print prompts a lot. Not that I don't enjoy the other ones, because I just enjoy drawing for the sake of drawing, and
yeah.
I like being put outside my comfort zone. So I always enjoy bots for that reason. But this time in particular, I like that all these characters are more open for interpretation, more so than having to follow, like when we drew like One Piece Man. One Piece Man looks like One Piece Man, you know, like I mean, One Piece and One Punch Man. So like there's no way for me to like interpret One Punch Man other than like it's One Punch Man. You know, like all right. But I love the prompts this month. It's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think for me, 90% of the prompts, I have no idea who the characters are or never watched them. So I like, you know, Creature from the Black Lagoon. Okay, I had to do some research, and I've honestly been thinking about like my design for like a month since I knew we were going to be talking about it and things like that. And so for me, it's like, I know you guys were talking about like last week, some of the guys, we used to get it only on Fridays. But since we had this a month in advance, it's been like going through my head. I've been able to do a lot of research and watch, you know, find the movie online and watch little snippets of it. And so for me, I've actually been thinking about this a lot longer than I usually do versus, let me open some reference and do it during Bernard Chang's stream on Twitch, where I'm doing it like, I think I have an idea, but I'll just draw something real quick. But what I've noticed is there's a lot of progression, like Dustin's been saying, where we're trying to do more than what we originally started. So a year ago, you could see like crazy progress in everyone, where it's like, it was like a simple face shot or something. And then now we're like telling stories, and we're doing all these like big scenes and backgrounds, and we're challenging each other to do more. in the same amount of time. And I think that's kind of what I've seen, at least from everyone.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, that's super awesome. Just curious. I think that we've gotten. This might be really bad on my part. I know that we've gotten a couple. I know Jeremy, you sent yours in. Vor and Dustin, are you guys done with this week? Are you still working on it? I mean, I guess Dustin, you already said you're like 30% penciled. I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. I mean, it's like right here. I'm sure it won't read, right? But like that's about all I got. And yeah, like Jeremy said, like this month in particular, I've been thinking about it for a few weeks now, and so I'm really trying to, make it something that is different from previous months, and learn and grow from this challenge. So
Okay.
I think some weeks I'm like right up to the deadline. Like I'm not posting until like 6 p.m. Pacific. Right.
Yep. I mean, I was going to have it finished by today, but I've been doing mine this month on scratchboard paper.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
the scratchboard paper that I have now, it didn't work too well. So it's very like chunky lines, and like I don't know if you saw the one that for the Bride of Frankenstein, like the veil and like even her skin kind of shape was made with a lot of like very fine like cuts to the ink. So if you guys don't know how the scratchboard paper works, it's just a glossy white paper with a black ink coating, and then I just go over with a blade. So this batch of paper, which I thought I bought just for now, the ink just doesn't come out correctly. So yesterday night, Dustin, I told him like, oh, because we were watching a stream, and I was just frustrated because I was trying to shade the girl's bum and like her skin, and she's wearing a white bathing suit. So like the scratchboard made it so like the skin was already full on white, and I can't have the skin be whiter than the bathing suit. So I have to start again. I'm gonna start again today, and I'll have it hopefully by tomorrow afternoon.
Sweet.
Right on.
Starting again, man, that's tough because I just do one shot and I'm done. If it looks good, it looks good. If not, but this is so mine's like 11 by 17, but I like went in. I'm giving like extra. Like I asked the chat, like I posted it, and I was like, hey, is there any feedback you guys can give me? And they're like, oh yeah, I would do this and add a little this, and I'm always like open to feedback because I feel like there's nothing better than getting people's initial it's great to get like, oh, you're that's such a great drawing and whatever, but that doesn't really help us as artists. It doesn't really help us grow as people. And so I definitely love when I get like negative feedback because it's kind of like one that you kind of made it where it's like you have haters, and at the same time it's like, oh, okay, well there's something I need to improve to where I can get it a little bit better. So I'm actually working on it right now as we're doing the interview.
That looks awesome, though.
Yeah,
thank you.
That was so good.
Yeah.
Hey, just for the record, everybody has turned in fucking crazy awesome shit. I mean, it's so good. You guys are so talented, all of you. Where did I know Jeremy, you kind of answered this a little bit. But where did you for this is a question we like to ask every week, is where did you find inspiration for this week? And I know, Jeremy, you said that you kind of looked some stuff up, but did you incorporate this is for all of you guys, did you incorporate any other details from somewhere else? Where did you find your inspiration for this week?
Yeah, so I think this week, again, so I've been thinking about it since it was released and since they said, okay, we'd like to do this interview on this week, and that's the creature from the Black Lagoon. So I spent some time, I was familiar with the movie, although it's been a long time. I was familiar with, was it Shape for Water, right? That came out. And so I really wanted to think about like the meaning of the film. And in fact, so I actually take art lessons from a friend of mine, and I was showing her my plans because what I wanted was, I wanted to elicit an emotion. Like, it's Halloween. I wanted to be some sort of like fear or helplessness, like in the piece. And so I didn't want it to be just the creature. I wanted to be the creature and the woman. And I had forgotten that like he idolizes her.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the way I had her and taking her was probably more violent, if you will, than would really work. So I spent a lot of time looking at pictures and doing sketches. Like if you look at my phone, I've got a bunch of the black and whites from the actual movie. And then there's actually a scene from The Return of the Creature from the Black Lagoon that is the basis for mine. So you'll see when I finally post it. And I found it interesting that Jeremy, Vor, and I all kind of did the same thing, where we incorporated him, and I don't know what her name is, but he's taking her like into the water.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And so that's where I got my inspiration from.
The cool thing is, I don't know if you and have any of you ever actually seen The Creature from the Black Lagoon, the movie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Not
so,
in that.
So that actually works out really well because even though he does he idolizes her, she is terrified of him. So I think it still checks out, like you're saying, so it still works. I like that.
Yeah.
Good.
It looks for me like what I do with every character that we get on bots, regardless of whether I know them or not, I always go and look at least for like an origin story on YouTube, so you can kind of like get acquainted with who this character is, and like if there's little nuances that I can pull from to kind of like incorporate in my design. So like with the creature from the Black Lagoon, I did have some sort of like idea of who they were, but I still did the same ordeal. And since I was kind of like going with like this kind of like creepy vibe for the month of October, because it's October, and I just made it a point to kind of use like the moon as a constant element on all my pieces. So I wanted to kind of like create an eerie kind of like lake scene of sorts, but I were very minimal details to kind of like draw like the shimmering of the moonlight on the lake, and then him carrying her into the water, but more focused on his like creepy persona of sorts. So like you look at him and he's kind of looking back over his shoulder, and like his eyes are kind of glowy, so to give you like kind of a little bit of an unsettling feel. And I guess since whether he loves her or not, in my piece he's not imparting any harm onto her. So I leave it up to you to decide whether or not he's evil or mean just because of what you see, because I like to kind of like instigate people to like make judgments based on what I draw.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Love that.
I think for me, I do the same thing. I'll try and research if I can, watch a YouTube video. I think that's the best resource to get something quick, because there's someone that's obsessed with the characters that are always put out. And people will do a 5-10 minute video on them, and you'll know everything about them. Or if you go to their Wikipedia, like do a Wikipedia search or something, or a Google search, and you can just get a little bit of background on them, so you can make a little bit more toward maybe the fan base. I think for me, I've been playing a lot with like light and trying to do where you don't see all the details of my drawing at first, and you see like, okay, there's the main character. But then if you look closer and spend, 5 more minutes on it, you'll see, okay, there's a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. And I've been trying to emulate a book that I got at a thrift store I found, actually. And it's like a French artist or something. It's, I don't know if you could see it, but this is the name. I don't know if that's backwards or not. Yeah, but if you look at it, it's a very like, he was an artist in like the 1800s that was like an erotic artist apparently. And I just randomly found this book in a thrift store, and the artwork is amazing. It's almost like a comic book style, very like, Kim Jong-gi meets Jim Lee, but 1800s. And he was like banned from like certain countries for just his artwork. And so like the details and stuff that were from that book, I was like, okay, let me see how I can incorporate that into this drawing. So yeah, I take a lot from comic book artists, but like something like that was just like caught my eye, and I wanted to try something different. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's really cool. And it's really cool. Interesting that both Vor and Jeremy, like you both specifically mentioned like YouTube videos. Because normally when you're like, okay, I don't know much about this character. What do they look like? Google images, just to get like your point of reference. But the fact that both of you specifically brought up YouTube to learn more about the character is really interesting, because then you can actually incorporate personality instead of just perspective, which is really cool. I never would have thought about that. Like, I'm not much of an artist. Like, literally my werewolf that I put out was the first thing that I've drawn outside of like sketching on a napkin at a wedding, because it was a boring wedding since I was in high school. Like, I just haven't, it was never something like, I've kind of been like a creative person, but like in other aspects of my life. So when I was like, we're going to do this. So I was just like, Google, like, what does this character look like? Let's do something that I think I can maybe try and get close to. I never would have thought to actually like dive deeper into like characteristics and personalities of the prompts to actually like put that into the drawing. That's really interesting.
Yeah, because that like kind of helps you like depict mannerisms, or like how they would behave in a certain scene. So like if you're trying to tell a story, and you know that like he loves, like going back to the creature from Black Lagoon, he has an affection for this woman. So for as mean as he looks, we can't draw him mutilating her, like as much as we would want to take it to the extreme. Like, I mean, at least that's how I see it anyway. Like, there's no reason for me to draw him in that like visceral violence, because that's not part of who the character is. So whether I know the character or not, there are people that are going to see it that do know the character, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's not who he is, man. That you're that you took it out of your ass." So like, but it does help to kind of like develop a scene, like to know like their motives, or like what they like to do. Not even what they like to do, but like kind of like little things about like the personality, so you can kind of have an idea like, oh, okay, cool, I'm gonna draw him then carrying the woman, but I'm not gonna make him be like stabbing her,
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I love it.
I think, Chad, that's a great point. Like, I think that's just part of like the artistic journey. Like, when you're starting off, you're really just focused on like form and function. And I think as you progress, and as like I'm like behind like Jeremy and Vor where they are, like they're thinking about emotion and the story. And a lot of times I'm just thinking about like the character. And so you progress from what's a cool pose to what do I want to elicit from this image, right? Which is really the purpose of art, like, is to elicit some sort of emotion from the viewer. So I think that's totally natural to have that whole progression. And as you continue to go, then you start to look for ways, how can I insert some emotion into this?
Yeah, most of, and that's super awesome. Like, I mean, first off, just all the feedback.
That's why it's one of our favorite questions to ask too. We've done it. We've asked that question every week. Where did you draw inspiration from? Because it's not only is everyone from different places, but seeing where everybody's getting, where you guys are getting it from. It's awesome. Everyone's different. So I know a lot of it is Google, but like, dude, YouTube, like you guys said, that's amazing. Yeah, it's really fun to see where you guys are, pulling this stuff from. So I love it.
You, Dustin, talking to your art teacher about it, like, how do I bring up this emotion? That's just so much more than just, here's an image that I want to try and recreate to better my skills for proportions and contrast and contour and all of that, and lighting. But like you said, how does it tell a story? How does it elicit an emotion? That's so awesome to like hear you, like all three of you in different ways, talk about that aspect of it, because it's easy.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
You're sick, we got Jake, so we'll give you a pass. Yeah, I was even thinking about the composition, right? So I had to think about, for the first time, I was going to put it in a scene. So, I mean, Vorundor and Jeremy probably know, like, you do like the rule of thirds. You take your image and divide it in thirds vertically and horizontally. You know where your hot spots are. And so this week was the first week ever that I did like 6 thumbnails maybe. just with trying to put the characters. I worked out what characters I wanted and where I wanted them in relation to each other. And then I was trying to figure out where I wanted to place them in the box. So that way I could highlight like what I wanted you to look at and try to bring that emotion out.
Yes.
So
Awesome.
it's been really fun to go on this journey to go from, hey, I want to draw a cool picture, a cool pose, to really enhance your skills to get to a point where you're going to lead the person through the image. If that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
Someone last week was talking about thumbnails as well. That's
Yes,
like
yeah.
their big process. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so adamant about thumbnails, man. So many people don't use it, but it's so like important to like iterate your ideas without any attachment to what you're doing. Because like it's just a little box, you know. If you don't have to destroy it, you just move on next to the next, and there's no like, oh man, I wasted so much time on this. You know, it's like, oh fuck it. I'm sorry, pardon.
Oh, you can swear. You clearly haven't listened to our podcast.
I heard the first. I heard the first interview with you guys, but you know, I don't want to assume that I can.
No, yeah, you can swear all you want. We are foul.
Yeah, but no, I am so happy that Dustin was using thumbnails, because thumbnails, man, watch and like so like you guys like saying like I'm just drawing an image with art. Like at least this is how I found it. Like the more you get into it, like the more you do it, the more you yourself start to find out what you're missing to accomplish what you want. So like once you learn to do like just characters, but you're like, you know what? I've already been doing characters. Like I want to do something more. And you might not know what that something more is, but like in your curiosity, you'll find what you need to like achieve the next step.
Yeah.
So when you do your thumbnails, do you physically draw like a bunch of boxes on a piece of paper and then just sketch? I've never done thumbnails before. So I'm just curious. Like,
yes, look, this is exactly like I do thumbnails all the time. Look, see, they're very crappy drawings, just like stick figures sometimes, more or less. And
just so you can figure out like how you want that hand to go or like whatever.
Yeah. Sometimes people do it for like value search, so you can have like that values like which areas are going to be darker than others, or like for silhouettes. I do it just because I want to see the composition before I commit to it, and it helps me move you from one idea to another, or it helps you define that idea further a lot quicker than when you're in the paper. Like, oh damn, I did not want to have this thing here. Fuck, you know, I messed up. And probably might be too late.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Again, it's tough to tell like how well these read. But for example, like I just started like this. This was just me working out, like the characters themselves, right? And then once I kind of knew what I wanted, and I found one that had the right proportions, then I put it into multiple boxes. Does that read very well?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah. And then I looked at it and I kind of picked one, and then I did another. Now I did a bigger. Like, this wasn't really a thumbnail. I did a quick like bigger sketch, and then here I was trying to play with the values, trying to figure out the lighting and how would it work. And then I progressed to this. And for me, I need all those reps to feel confident in what the final piece is going to be.
I love that. I've literally crumpled up so many pieces of paper because I'm like, fuck, I screwed it up. So I should start doing that. It's genius. I didn't know what it was. So
I think for me, I have a phone where the Samsung phone comes with a literal pen inside of it. And so if I'm on the train or something, I could do a quick thumbnail. I've actually drawn some of my bots on my phone, like my werewolf one. I literally drew on my phone because I didn't feel like drawing it on paper and didn't think I'd have time. But I think when it comes to thumbnails, I think Jim Lee said that the thing now is most people are on their phones and they're looking at images and they're looking at comic book covers. And if it doesn't read well on the phone, it's not really going to read well like at a little tiny thumbnail. That's what they see, right? They're not going to the comic book store all the time and seeing that image. And so if it's not popping out in that little tiny thumbnail, you're not making any sales. So I think that was like a good, like kind of click for me where it's like, okay, these professional artists are thinking about it even in that little small stage where it's like they have to have this little small drawing and it has to pop immediately. And if it doesn't pop there, I think a lot of new artists, they waste a lot of time just, oh, let me draw something and I drew it on 11 by 8 paper and now it looks crappy. Just keep inking it. Well, that's not helping you progress if you're doing something badly, right? If you keep doing the same thing over and over, that's not helping you progress, versus get the composition, get the layout, get how you want it to really look. And if you're an artist, if you drew something once and you messed it up, or if you drew something and you spill coffee all over it, guess what? You got to draw it again if you're a very professional. So yeah. I think you have to get into the mentality of, yeah, I could draw that picture, but if I needed to, I could literally draw this picture again the exact same way, or even tweak it to make it better. And I think a lot of new artists don't think in that mentality. It's like, oh no, I'm going to mess up this drawing that I'm going to do. No, I really don't care. I have whiteout. I have, pens. I can redo it and I can start over. And I think it's a big part of getting to the next step that some artists are still thinking about or need to kind of see in themselves. Just believe in themselves, I guess.
Yeah. Don't be pressured with your art.
That step yet, by the way. I'm not to that step. And that just shows you where Jeremy is on his progression. Because that's true. Like if you watch the professionals, it's like you would think they could care less about the drawing. If you know who Daniel Warren Johnson is, right? He did do a power bomb and better Aid Bill. If you watch his YouTube, like that guy draws crazy. It's because he knows he can fix it. It's just, anyway, it's a great point, Jeremy, but that's just nuts. But
you'll get there.
I just throw whiteout on it.
Yeah, just throw whiteout on it. That's what the whiteout pens are for. Right here.
Yeah,
I'll buy you one. I'll send one to you.
Don't get pressured with your art, man. Do not get pressured with it.
Oh man,
I haven't found a good whiteout pen that you can Copic over, right? So then that gets be the hard part.
Right here. Use this one. Get that one.
Okay.
I mean, that's fantastic feedback for everybody listening from all of you.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's awesome.
Absolutely. So with the past couple of weeks, we've kind of, dove into, advice from you guys, for new artists, like how to tackle, the anxiety of meeting deadlines, just getting started, tips and tricks, stuff like that. So along those lines, I kind of wanted to shift the focus and, with Vor, I mean, you're doing this, full time. Jeremy, you're balancing this with, a job and doing commissions. And Dustin, you're, taking classes and trying to develop further and further within your skills so that, I mean, I'm assuming, I don't want to speak for you guys, but I'm assuming that the idea is to, do this, to do art, at least to some degree. Again, not trying to speak for you guys, but how do you work through burnout or, finding low motivation to keep drawing, whether it's a specific prompt or piece that just has no interest for you, or you've just put out, completed multiple things in a short period of time. You're like, man, I need a break. I should really keep going. How do you guys navigate that?
So, well, I guess for me, I have the luxury where my livelihood doesn't depend on it, right? So if I'm burnt out, or if I have a crazy work week, or I have my work deadline, then I just skip a week, Now the deadline that I feel is supporting the community. So I want to be a part of it and be with everyone. But I guess my advice is a non-professional, and I my greatest aspiration is one day somebody would ask me to draw something for them. My recommendation would be is have patience. We talked a lot about the process, and so just be patient and be consistent. Consistency and patience is key. And I will go back my drawings. Like I took like probably the last time. I'm 46. All right, so just to be up front. The last time I probably drew a lot was when I was 16 or 17. Right back when I wanted to be a comic book artist, and I had friends, and we were going to draw a comic. And so I got out of it for a long time, like 30 years. And so it was just patience of going through the process. And I think it was Vorundor or Jeremy that said, like, you identify what you don't know and what you want. So I know when my finished piece doesn't match my vision. And for me, I don't use that as like a time to berate myself, but I use it as a motivator to say, okay, these are the things I need to work on. So just patience and consistency, and just keep through your journey. And every once in a while, I'll look back. Like I'll look back at the first boss image from September 2020. I had like this storm shadow, and it looks totally flat, right? And so I can see my progression, and that gives me motivation.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Like for burnout, like anytime somebody goes to art and then like I'm the one that kind of like leads him into art or something, I tell them not to expect anything out of you nor your piece. Like do it for the fun of it, because if you go in with expectations, like usually we start off with a higher appreciation for art than what we can accomplish. So if you go expecting to achieve your vision, you're going to be discouraged right off the bat. So if you don't want to burn out, never go in expecting something out of it, because you're not going to meet it most of the time. So just draw for the sake of drawing. And if you're like right now, I'm doing like I've been doing Inktober, but with my own like prompt list for the past like 5 years or so, and I do one every day. And in the beginning, I used to get like burned out because I was like, oh man, I don't know what the hell to do. But it's because again, I had an expectation of having something look a certain way or like meet a certain quality standard for me to consider it like a piece for Inktober. But once you stop worrying about what your result is going to be and you draw because you want to draw, burnout doesn't necessarily have to happen, It's just because to me, burnout happens when you put too much pressure on yourself. And when you do art and you're expecting, again, I go back to expectations, because if you expect something out of it and you don't meet those expectations, you're more likely to be down on yourself, because like, man, I'm not good enough to do this. And you kind of like put stress on yourself and expect to kind of like meet this bar that is going to take time, like it's not going to be like from one day to another. So like Dustin said, consistency will definitely inevitably yield progress, but that consistency is going to be over time. So to avoid burnout, be patient, like Dustin said, but don't expect anything out of your art, and just do it for the fun of it. And if you're not having fun, then don't, just like give yourself a time some break. Just like, listen, I'm just going to stop, move away, and then come back for the sake of the art, not for any sort of expectations that you might have. And I sound redundant, but I'm very like adamant about it. Like, don't expect anything from your art.
Yeah, I think I really agree. I think I just really love drawing. And I think there's nothing, if I could do this full time, I would do it. And I think talking to artists, like I was just at Comic-Con talking to Ken and talking to Andy and Bernard and Jerry, who run the whole bots, and they are such like a good inspiration. I think I do get burned out every week. I come home, I'm tired, I get home at 10 o'clock, and then I start my bots on Tuesday night, and I'll be done at 3 in the morning. But I think it's better than not doing anything and just sitting on my butt, because I want to do this eventually. Whether I get paid for it or not, who cares? I love doing it. I yes, of course I wouldn't get paid, and like anyone, of course, right? But if I don't, I still feel like me doing something, I'm one step, and it's you're putting your 10,000 hours in. Until you put those 10,000 hours in, you're not going to be good. And I think it comes with yourself. I think a lot of us are glutton for the pain of just constantly drawing and trying to get better at this craft. And there's no one else motivating you but yourself, right? And unless you can push yourself to what you want to do, eventually you'll get there. And I think it has to come within. It has to come with something that you want. If you really want it, you're going to get it eventually, or hopefully you're going to get to it. And I think there's such good knowledge out there now that there's no reason why any of us can be a professional eventually if we put the time and effort in. Like people in the major leagues, they put hours and hours and hours in. They just didn't wake up and become a great baseball player, for example, and they're in the World Series and winning the World Series. Just like an artist, I'm not going to be making Spider-Man and Batman comic book just because I want to. People have been doing it because they've been practicing. They've been doing it for years, and they might have some talent to it, but also it's a little luck. It's a little bit of knowing who you know, and it's just finding that community. And I think when I go into those streams every Tuesday night, me and my wife, we actually watch it together, and I'll just draw with them, and that's my motivation right there. That gets me out of that rut from the week, from Wednesday up to Monday, and then Tuesday, Bernard and them talking, and they interact with us, and everyone else. That's just, you just have to take it from within, I think.
I gotta personally give you guys props too, because I know like almost all of you have now said that, and in the past weeks too, is that you guys research these characters, and then because you work your 9 to 5, and those of you who aren't doing this,
All right, guys, I'm gonna step away for 1 second. I'll be right back. Keep going though.
Yeah, you guys bang these drawings out like that. I mean, Ken did all 4 drawings like right away. Like for me, I do this for fun. I know I'm not going to be a great artist. I like,
you never know.
It's a good time. Yeah.
It just takes one person.
Yeah.
Someone put a banana on the wall and it sold for $500,000. I think you can if you get the right person to buy something, it doesn't matter really. Honestly.
But you guys will bang these drawings out. Like you research them and all that. I get that. That's it. But when, like you said, you will start on it at 10 o'clock at night when you get home, and you put it out like the next day. I take the entire week to get my drawing together. And like my drawings compared to, and I'm not trying sympathy thing here, I'm just saying compared to all of you actual artists, like holy shit, I put a week into this thing and you guys do it in a night, and it's amazing what you guys come up with. I'm like in awe of you guys. It's awesome.
Well, because we had your scenario for years beforehand, though.
Yeah.
We were there, you know.
Yeah, you have to think about it in terms of it doesn't take me 3 or 4 hours. It takes me 39 years plus those 3 hours, because I've learned everything all over my whole lifetime, and I put it into this drawing.
Yeah.
And I think when people buy art or when people look at art, they don't think about that. Like, I could hire anyone to do this for $20 on the street. Well, yeah, it took that person years and years to master it so they could do it in that 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 3 hours. And I think you had to think about it in terms of years versus hours.
I like that. Yeah, I really love that. He was saying, Chad, you missed it, that when they put out their, because I was saying that it takes me the entire week to do this. And for these guys, you know, some of them bang it out like really fast. And he's saying, you know, it's not just the 4 hours I put into it, it's the 29 years plus that, you know, 4 hours. So I love that.
Like your speed will build up the more you get comfortable with it. So don't never like think that you're slow, because you're not. You're just learning at your own pace, and that's okay. You know, that's like the best way to do it. Like you do it however fast you're comfortable with, and before you know it, you'll be banging them out in a couple of hours. But it's because you already spent all those other times taking a week to do one. So just keep on going, man. Don't get discouraged by your time. Don't try to be as quick as anybody else, because speed is a result of consistency.
Oh my God, I love that. It's awesome. You guys' feedback is crazy. Yeah, I love it. Just to move on a little bit, because we're the All Things Nerd podcast, I just threw this question in here. Do you guys have a favorite comic book artist? I know that I didn't want to just say artist, because that's such a broad, you know, you could go anywhere with it. I assume anyways that all of us are comic book fans. If so, do you have a favorite artist, and why?
Oh, wow, that's tough. You know, same with if you're asking who my favorite artists were, but that may be slightly easier. So I'm going to give you a couple. Like, the first artist that really pulled me into comics was Mark Silvestri and X-Men. So if you ever want to do a podcast talking about the Uncanny X-Men back in the Silvestri years, so like starting around like Mutant Massacre forward, I'm down to chat about it anytime. I love Mark Silvestri, and looking back, I thought his art was so perfect at the time, but looking back, it's not. Like Jim Lee is probably more of a perfectionist than Mark is, but I just love like the energy and the storytelling in there. Like today, it's really hard. Like I had a lot of favorites, but two in particular that I would point out. One is Matteo Scalera. If you guys haven't ever checked him out, he's got great energy and he's a great storyteller. And then another one that's maybe Jay Lee-esque is Werther del Adera, I think is how you pronounce it, on Something is Killing the Children, which is a great comic, by the way. If you haven't read it, you should go read it. But I could probably list like 4 or 5 others, but those are 2 maybe newer artists that I really enjoy.
And just curious, who's your favorite comic book character?
Me?
Yeah.
Colossus. Yeah.
Colossus?
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was always a bigger kid growing up, so Colossus is my guy.
He's pretty cool though. Hard to draw though, but he's pretty cool. For me, I am a fan of comic books, but more from like the outskirts, like the periphery. I never have gotten too deep into it. Like my in for comics was through like Batman, so like Frank Miller or like Bruce Timm, kind of thing like that. I developed a love for like heavy inks, so like even like Frank Frazetta also kind of like that. So like dark kind of like motifs, I think. And like even like I don't know if it counts, but it's like a manga artist, Junji Ito, like from the Uzumaki, like the spiraling kind of thing. So those are my I guess comic book wise my artists that I look up to, I guess. And favorite character, Batman. I love Batman. I have Batman everywhere.
I think for me, it's Jim Lee is my ultimate number one, and Kim Jong-gi was a really big influence on me, and I was actually really sad that he passed away.
That was just last week, right?
Right before Comic-Con. And he was like the first guy I always see at Comic-Cons because he's just so accessible and just his style, and he's really friendly, even though he spoke no English or just, besides thank you, his style and just how he puts together composition and things like that was just amazing. So more recently it was him, but as a kid, man, I was a Jim Lee fan and Todd McFarlane fan probably before I even know who they even were, just reading a comic book. And I think I drew I literally drew a Spider-Man on my wall in permanent marker when I was a kid, when I was probably like 10, of Todd McFarlane. And so for me, that's a big thing. But I think for me, it's interesting because with everything going on with the internet and with Twitch, I actually got to like have lunch with Jim Lee at New York Comic Con, just because we have like a group on Discord where we follow him, and he's like, oh yeah, just come on and we'll just hang out. And it's like kind of amazing how you can reach out to people nowadays versus when I was a kid. Like I would have no access to any of this when I was a kid, 30 years ago. And I think now we're at a point where technology and the internet is in favor of artists and actually helps you connect to so many people. Like it's just like an amazing tool and just what we have available to us now.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And favorite character, just
it's between Spider-Man and Gambit. I remember dressing up as a kid as Gambit, and no one knew who I was.
I love Gambit.
This was like the 1990s, early 90s, before the X-Men TV show and everything came out. People were like, who are you with a stick? And looking like a big leather jacket that I found in my parents' closet or whatever. But I think those two are soft spots for me. Yeah.
Love it.
definitely. So this episode comes out on Wednesday when, all of this week's, the creature from the Black Lagoon, those prompts are quote unquote due. Moving forward, have you guys thought about the final week's prompts of, witches? Do you have plans for kind of where you're going to go with it? Are you going to do like a traditional witch? Are you going to pick like a comic book witch? I know that or even something from like film. I know Ken, because Ken is Ken, and he just like knocks stuff out super fast, but also has a busy month. So like he did something from like the
craft.
The craft. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
We've gotten, like a Scarlet Witch and stuff like that. And like, do you guys have any idea where you're going with next week's prompt at all, or is this you taking a week?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. There was another, and Vorundor knows there's another streamer, Maldoodles, who has a challenge, and so she had a witch challenge, and so I started a piece for that a couple of weeks ago, and so I'm gonna pick that up and redo it. It's gonna be, I guess, more of a traditional witch, but kind of pinup-y.
I'm sorry, kind of what?
Yeah, pinup.
Oh, okay.
Pinup.
Yeah. I'm gonna do like a witch, like I like same as just Dustin. We did this kind of witch challenge. I don't know if I can share the screen. Can I share the screen?
It should be able to.
You should be able to. If not, I can quickly change those settings.
Yeah, it says host disable the sharing.
This happened last time too.
Yeah.
Or this part of me trying to figure this out will get cut from the actual episode, like I did on the first week. Multiple. One person can share at a time. Who can share? I don't know. I change it every time someone's like, "Can I share the screen?" And I change it to all participants, and then it's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to remember."
Yeah.
Also, I like your tattoo of like
meeting the meeting.
Yeah. It should be good to go now.
All right, cool.
There we go.
So this one, can you see it? This?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Nice.
All right. So that's the kind of wish that I went for the last time, and I want to do this again, but now in traditional media. So I'm going to do it in the scratchboard paper. Hopefully the scratchboard works.
Okay.
But yeah, this is what I want to do. That kind of witch, more so like I kind of like I don't know what kind of like background the witch is, but I like this kind of like more like shamanish kind of like witch going on,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
not so much with the pointy hat,
Yeah. No, I love it.
But yeah, that's what I want to do, kind of like this, but again on a grayscale, because I'm going to do it on the scratchboard paper.
Yeah.
I just want to see how she would look in another kind of like pose, maybe a bit more dynamic, kind of casting a spell or at you or something.
More of like a medieval kind of witch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Thanks. All right.
Yeah, I have no clue what I'm gonna do yet. Honestly, if you guys have suggestions, I will take that suggestion, and maybe because for me, I like the specific prompts. Like werewolf to me was like, oh, I don't know what to do, and I like okay, but if it's like something specific that gives me I'm not a thinker. I just draw, and if you give me a prompt, okay, I'll draw it. But I gotta think about it. That's like 3 steps too much for me.
I think one of the cool things, but you guys have been begging into our head since we started, is the support on here. And one of the cool things that I noticed is the first week with the werewolf, I did like I was trying to use up the background, and I put a hand, like a lady's hand, like reaching out, and the werewolf's hand, like whatever. And was it Simple Man Tony? Is it Tony?
Yeah. Tony did.
He was like, I want to see whose hand that is. And I was like, oh, boom, there's my witch. I'll just do the opposite side of that. So that like ideas also come from the support on this site, the bots and stuff. It's awesome. Chad, do you know what you're doing yet?
I have no idea what I'm doing yet, but Jeremy, you can paint me like one of your witch girls.
Okay. Maybe maybe I could try that.
Dude, that would be
Bearded
hilarious.
witch.
I would-
I will
that would be
screenshot
my
that.
profile picture for everything. I will
Okay.
buy that print.
I was like, I bet you Chad would buy that.
Hands down, I would.
Okay. See, it's gonna be like that too. That pose that he just did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude,
some
back screen
Rose
cap it.
from Titanic. Yeah.
Yes.
I want to
That's
see it. I
amazing.
want to see it.
Like it doesn't have to be a girl, but I think most witches. I mean, other guys that are witches, like
Are they warlocks?
The warlocks.
Yeah, you could do.
It depends
you could
on
do a
which,
guy.
which
You might be
nerd
in
realm
some
you go
drag.
into. Some
Yeah.
people will be like,
You could do a guy.
no, that's a wizard or a warlock.
Yeah.
But nah, whatever you
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
is good.
Okay. All right. I got some ideas going through my mind.
Yes.
So
Yes.
be careful what you ask for, Jack.
That's true.
all.
I've already committed on tape that if this
I
happens,
love it.
I'm buying it. So
I might buy it too. Yeah, that's amazing.
Oh man, that's pressure now.
I would
Give me another
love,
idea. Like,
I would love to have a picture of a half naked Chad Which
as a
somewhere hanging up in my office.
just make sure you give me abs.
okay, just like a
No.
printed out piece of paper,
No.
stapled on.
Yeah, like him holding it in front of him.
Yeah, holding it up like those t-shirts that have. I think that's the great thing about art is you can make anything you want, right? You can do if I want to do that, okay, that's my imagination. I can make that happen, and it's just getting it out of my head and into my hand and into the paper. I think that's always the hardest thing. I have a picture, I have an image in my head, and it's just over the years, I haven't been able to get it until maybe a little bit more recently where I'm like, oh, this is exactly how I want it. And I'll draw it and it'll be almost exactly how I get it in my head. And I think that's the hardest thing is just getting it on the paper and just trying to figure out the elements. And it's just doing it and doing it and doing it over and over and over.
Yeah.
That's where something else come in.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, like the traditional like thought process of, the 10,000 hours, just like, and kind of like Dustin was saying, just consistency and patience and just getting out there and just drawing for the sake of drawing. I mean, that's over the course of time, like all three of you have said, you might not see the progression right away, but, you get there,
Mhm.
And I think it was Nate Burr last week said, you have people that are just like naturally talented and, they get the praise for their natural talent, but then you have the people that aren't naturally talented, but they do the work because they love it. And over the course of time, then those two boundaries of the natural talent and the learned talent disappear because it's something that can be learned and it's a teachable skill. You just have to put in the time because it's what you want. And I think that's really cool that just keeps shining through over the past few weeks as we've talked to multiple different artists, both from the hobbyist level. I mean, Jake and I are hobbyist. At least I'm hobbyist turned down, and like I'm a level 1 hobbyist, all the way up to professional artists, and it's just really cool to see that those same traits, no matter what skill level or where you're at in like an art career, just are so transferable. It's really cool to see and hear.
Mm-hmm. There's a good way that you can actually see how you would progress over time. And I found this when I was streaming last year. I used to have a Wednesday kind of like class stream for like the people that would come to my stream. And we would do just studies of the one thing. And this is when it kind of like even clicked to me. So it's not even like that far away from me. We were doing ears, I think, or hands. One. It could be anything. The point is that I would do it was a 4-hour stream. And throughout the 4 hours, it was just me like kind of like narrating my process, answering questions from the people. But when you get to the end of it, and this happened like after like a few weeks that I did it, I would flip always through the pages that I did and show the streamer, also, this is what we started, this is what we did, whatever. And then we got to the end. And then you will see from your first ear, finger, eye, to your last one, there's going to be a very distinct improvement. It's not going to be skyrocketing improvement, but your first and your last of those things is going to be completely different. And your last one is going to be so much better than where you started. So if you want to see how time helps you improve, that's the best way you can do it. Just spend like 2 hours at least, 2 hours, an hour, but just do the one thing over and over and over again. And then by the time that hour passes by and you look at this last one, you're like, oh man, dude, I'm pretty fucking awesome now,
I think what also helps is talking about it with other people. You can get really in your head and you can do it. But if I talk to any of these guys, I know I talk to simple men all the time about, oh, we could do this better, this, and try it this way or do it this way. I think that's a big thing too, is we're kind of going through and we're teaching each other. But at the same time, as I'm teaching someone, I'm like, oh, I didn't realize I did it that way. And it kind of, there's an aha moment that you sometimes will have when you just teach other people too. And so I'm always giving like tips and feedback to people, and I'll take a picture of theirs. I'll go on my phone. I'll go over it with my phone and I'll give them little tips of, oh, twist this here, put this here, and it'll make it just a little bit better or more realistic or not feel kind of out of place.
That's super awesome.
Yeah.
So not to end it here, but to end it here. We do try and keep our episodes, obviously this month, because we have interviews as well as our regular content. Our episodes have been a little bit longer, but to kind of, unfortunately, cut you guys off here. Where can people find you online? Before we say goodbye for this week, where can people find you? And any like last parting words for viewers that might, either really like your art or are trying to get into it. What do you got?
So like, I'm just one stop shop for me. It's just on Instagram. It's drogers_95. And you can reach me through DM there. Yeah, that's it. Instagram.
Yeah, same. Mine is here, Vorundor, VORUNDOR, and everything's here on Instagram. So, and I have any pertinent links on Instagram, but one-stop shop as well.
You also have a Twitch too, where people can watch. Yeah,
same name everywhere that you see Vorundor, it'll be me.
Perfect.
So,
okay.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm on Instagram, Jeremy L. Joe Art. I do Twitch sometimes, very rarely, and I think I have to get into it more, but eventually I'll do that. But just reach out to me on that. DM me on Instagram. And I think for any budding artist, just get out there and do it, man. Join our Battles of Sketches, hashtag Battle of Sketches every week.
Do it.
Just tag us, come on the stream with Bernard on Tuesdays whenever he streams, and just get into the community and just get your name out there. I think that's the only thing that I would recommend.
Yeah, Bernard's stream is like our hub. So every Tuesday night we're there. So if you guys have any questions, we're always there.
Like yeah.
I think in closing, that's what I would say is sometimes people get intimidated by the fact that it's called Battle of the Sketches. There's no there's no winner.
No.
There's no judging.
Yeah.
So just jump in, post stuff, and let the comments come in. And also, it should be collaborative. Like I think Vor mentioned like a negative comment. I love that constructive criticism. So I love to hear what you liked about it. But I also like to hear like, oh, like I think you could have done this a little bit better. Right?
Yeah.
But anyway, just jump in. There's no battle. There's no winner.
It's like the hype of the sketches,
That's what it is. We're hyping each other up. That's all it is.
Yeah. Love it. Oh my God. I love it so much. This has been so much fun. You guys are all awesome. I can't wait to see your finished products on Wednesday.
And thank you again, everyone, for being on the episode. This has been awesome. So much insight. We probably skipped a couple of questions because just conversation was just like going well.
It's fluid. It was very fluid,
interesting
yeah.
to like hear you all speak. So thank you so much for being on the episode, and we really appreciate it. And we can't wait to share all of your art this week and next week for the rest of this month up on our website. And yeah, thank you.
And
Thank you,
we're
guys.
also a part of Battle of the Sketches now, so you guys will.
Yeah,
We'll
you
be
can't
around.
drop on now.
No, we'll be around.
What are
no.
your handles? I was trying to find them. What are your handles on Instagram?
Mine is Aladdin _87.
But it's 2 L's and 2 D's for his.
Yeah, I spelled it wrong.
And
You
then
gotta
but
go
it was like-
complicated enough.
But it was like 10 years ago. I spelled it wrong, and I was like, "Shit, that's not how you spell Aladdin."
and then mine is just at Chad Hilson.
Oh yeah, I remember your brother of Frankenstein with the missing arm.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love that one.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Jeremy and I were talking a little bit about it last week too. You said you're like, did a dog steal her arm? What happened?
I loved it. It was so good.
Yeah.
That was a good sketch, man. I love it.
Yeah,
It's good.
thank you.
It has a good storytelling also.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Well, thank you guys so much again
you, guys.
for being on the show, and you guys have a great rest of your night.
Have a good night, guys.
You too. Have a good night.
Good to see you guys.
That was an amazing interview. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being on our show. And with that being said, cheers. We will go into sponsor number 2, which is Crybaby Craig's hot sauce, which is a pickled habanero and garlic hot sauce that goes on practically anything. Listen up and we'll tell you more about it.
Hey, you nerds. Do you love spice? Supporting small businesses? What about enhancing the flavor of your favorite foods? If you said yes to any of those, our good friends over at Crybaby Craig's have the perfect solution for you. Crybaby Craig's is a pickled habanero and garlic hot sauce that goes perfectly with your favorite foods, adding the perfect amount of spice and enhancing the flavor of everything it touches. Started in Minneapolis by Craig back in 2012, Crybaby Craig's has become a Minneapolis and Minnesota staple in the sauce world. So head over to crybabycraigs.com and order yours today.
All right, friends. As always, giant spoiler alert, but we are going to talk about House of the Dragon, episode 9.
The penultimate.
Holy shit, this episode.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say. All right, episode's done. See you guys.
Give us your money. I'm just kidding.
Oh my god, it was so good.
That's enough
This
time
one-
for you to, if you haven't watched it yet, that was enough time for you to step away, save the episode, and come back. Now proceed at your own peril. I don't know.
I mean, where does this episode start, Chadley?
Well, in the words of Lizzo, it's about damn time. King Viserys is fucking dead.
That's good. Did you just come up
I
with that, or
just
were you?
did.
I was like, were you sitting on that?
No, I
or-
wasn't. Way to ruin how funny I am.
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah.
He finally died. But god damn it, if that man didn't give us the most like depressing
And emotional. And then
Yeah.
that entire scene of him like walking with a cane up to the Iron Throne from last week,
Mhm.
when the crown fell off his head and Matt Smith as Daemon Targaryen picking it up, helping him up, that was completely improvised.
Oh yeah, the crown wasn't supposed to fall off.
And
That-
Daemon wasn't
yeah.
supposed to help him.
Yeah.
He was supposed to do it by himself. But when he shoves off the Kingsguard and the crown falls, Matt Smith just like went and helped him, and they loved it so much that that's what we got.
And it was endearing as fuck. Loved it.
AF
Even though
as the
he's
Gen Zs
banging his brother's daughter. Whatever. I guess we'll
Oh,
ignore
yeah.
that and call them good people, but
Yeah.
whatever.
It's a lot of Sweet Home Alabama going on.
yeah, sounds
Roll
like
Tide.
I was like, sounds like the past couple years here in America.
Yeah. I'll just repeat myself. Roll Tide. Got to cover a tooth because you don't have all of them.
You don't have the blackout yet.
Yeah.
I got you.
But this episode takes place the day after Viserys kicks the bucket in his sleep.
Yeah. And we know one thing, if anything, is that Alicant, I'm going to call her, Alicant wants...
Hit her with a hard C.
I did.
I know.
Alicant!
Yeah.
Kunt! She wants
That
her
was for
kid.
the GFC club. More than
But
anything.
she... You know what, though? This is a fucked up thing. This is the thing I struggle with about this a little bit. Is that she's right. Rhaenyra's kids are bastards. They're not actual true blood, like, to the throne. Like, I get it.
Well, in the terms of the arranged marriage, but they are her true children, and she was named heir.
Yeah.
So it's a gray,
It's a
murky
power struggle.
water of inbreeding.
Mm.
Which should never be gray, murky water, but when there's inbreeding involved, you can't avoid it.
Yeah, the swamps of Alabama, they just get murky sometimes.
Are you cousins or are you siblings? Like, who knows?
Sorry, Alabama. We don't hate all of you.
Their southern shores are actually very beautiful.
But anyways, yeah, this takes place right after Viserys dies. Alicant is very, very much on a mission to make her son king rather than Rhaenyra take the throne as her dad wanted her to.
Yeah.
And
let it pass to Jacaerys and Lucerys, Jason Luke.
Yeah.
Like was kind of alluded to. And it's not even that she's making it her mission. It's just that she misunderstood an old man's dying dementia dream.
But then makes it her mission because she locks up people. I mean, not just she. I mean, it's everyone involved.
It's Otto. It's her dad.
Yeah, it's her dad.
And we get to that in this episode. But continue. I'm sorry. I'm not.
No. I'm just conversating with you.
Yeah.
People are listening to us talking to each other. So it's crazy. I mean, they at the point where they lock down the room around, I don't know what to call it.
They call the small council
or whatever. Yeah,
the small council of the king.
They basically start saying, "Hey," not basically. They actually start saying like, "We got to kill so and so and so and so and so and so in order to make this happen, and we have to do this."
Yeah,
and that. And
Alicent presents the news that the king is dead. This was his dying wish, was for Aegon to be king, but not knowing that eventually Jon Snow would actually be named Aegon. And yeah,
we love Jon Snow over here,
even though he knows nothing. But half of the small council, not small council.
I don't know if it was half. It was like
all but one.
People.
It was all but one of like the 6 people that were there. We're like, oh, good. Now we don't have to like force this to happen. Our plans have come to fruition. And Alicent is like, the fuck what?
Yeah. And then you kind of think for a second that Alicent isn't such a Alicant, because she's like, my husband's dying wish wouldn't be to kill his own daughter. Like, we can't do that. And they're like, listen, bitch, this is what's going to happen.
If she's alive,
yeah,
that causes problems. And Otto's like, yeah, you're right. Everyone else, except for one dude. And I didn't write down his name because it was in passing. I don't remember him from other episodes.
But he was the king's guard at the time.
No, not Graham McTavish's character.
Oh, I thought you were talking
no,
you're talking about
yeah. Well, I think he was the master of coin since that's probably why we didn't see him, was because the the patriarch of the strong house from not Hightower, but Harrenhal has died. So this is kind of like his replacement. And he stands up and he's like, this is basically treason.
He doesn't say basically. He's like, this is treason.
This is treason. No one else can confirm that this was the king's dying wish.
Except for this bitch over here,
Yeah.
who is claiming that that's what happened. And Kristen with a K is like, bam! And kills him.
I like how you... I'm not going to finish that sentence, but I like that you made it very much like, like he's bitch.
I fucking hate Kristen. I
Kristen
want him
Cole
to die
is the worst.
so bad.
I'm awaiting the most brutal of deaths for that.
Oh god,
for that
he's
character.
the worst. Yeah, no, he kills him. He slams his head into the. He kind of does the, when Joker in
The Dark
the
Knight.
Dark Knight is
You
like,
wanna
hey,
see
you
a
want to see a
magic
magic trick? And he like slams the dude's head onto the pencil. That's what he did. But it was a ball, like a marble
Yeah.
orb. Yeah, and killed him. Yeah.
And he just is slumped over the table, like bleeding. He's already dead, but he's just like bleeding. They're like, we should remove the body. And Resiphons, Otto Hightower's like, nah, leave the body.
He's still warm.
Yeah.
And then they all had their way with him. And then they got back into the meeting and said,
But
sorry,
yes.
I just finished Dahmer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Side note, I didn't realize he did that shit from an apartment for most of his dastardly deeds.
Oh, his grandma's house and in an apartment.
Yeah, like how do you get away? How do you get away with that in an apartment?
Oh, my family sent me some pork chops, and I must have left them out. And
I'm
They
assuming
went
that's
bad.
from the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was like a direct quote.
Yeah.
I'll get rid of it tomorrow. I'm so sorry for the smell.
Yeah. Either way.
Anyways.
Fucked up. Back to the show though. Otto and Allison are now at very opposing sides, which is kind of the first time that we've seen this. Because Otto is like, kill Rhaenyra and her entire family because they're a threat to our name on the throne.
Yeah.
And Allison is like, well, as my husband.
I'm sorry. What was her name?
Sorry, Alicant.
Mm-hmm.
Hit her with a hard T.
And the C. The C is the
Yeah.
pivotal. Go ahead.
Yeah. Tomato, potato. Is like, this is not what Viserys, my late husband that literally died last night, would want. You should fucking listen to me.
Even though she was poisoning him, and
Well,
like
she was giving him. She's basically just like giving him an absurd amount of like Vicodin.
poison.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They were keeping him medicated so that they could run the throne.
I
That's
think
why
that,
they were.
I think that was mostly Otto.
Yeah, but that's why he was so surprised when Viserys came out an episode ago, and he's like, "I will sit the throne today,"
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
coughed up blood all over the place. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Alicent doesn't want to kill Rhaenyra because they also just like literally made peace the night before.
Mhm.
It's fucking messy, but they're like, we got to find Aegon II, which is Viserys' firstborn son with Alicent, because he's now going to be king. Good for you for dying.
Yeah.
And just like being a part of the episode despite all of it.
just trying to hold true to like Viserys' name, hanging in
I
there
got the
for
padlock.
longer than hanging in there for as long as I can, longer than more people want me to be there for. You know what I mean?
Well, that's sad. I'm not one of those people.
No, it is. It's wild because when we do, there's a couple small details that we didn't talk because we kind of we're gonna wing this. Couple small details while they're basically hunting down the king to be.
Yeah, Aegon. It's a race against time.
Yeah,
Allison's squad, which is Chris and
Green.
Cole and Aemon,
Mhm.
and then Otto's like side bitch and his twin brother.
Mm-hmm. That was what I was going to say. I thought it was very interesting that when Kristen with a K and one of the twins are fighting each other, the other twin doesn't help and watches his brother get killed and like just.
Well, he doesn't
fucks
die;
him.
he just gets beat.
Oh, I thought he got stabbed. I don't know why.
No, it was
But-
just a sword to the throat, and so he had to like admit defeat.
Oh.
Like,
I was like, a
it
sword to the
didn't
throat sounds like
slice. It was
death.
just kind of
Gotcha.
like, hey, if you move, I'll fucking kill you.
And then he just kind of okay, so that's why he fucked up. Okay,
Yeah.
because he didn't die. Okay, cool.
Cool, 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 cool. Right on, right on.
But yeah, so they're trying to find this little.
They're trying to
blonde-haired
find.
lad.
Oh, they're trying to fart. They're trying to find Gerard Way,
Yeah,
which is so funny because I mean we don't want to give you like a play-by-play, but there's been so many jokes online about Gerard Way, the singer of My Chemical Romance, playing Aegon Targaryen because he just looks like he's
looks
in
like
the
him.
Black Parade.
yeah.
That Gerard Way has like changed bios on multiple websites to be like, yeah, I play Aegon the Second
Yeah.
in House of the Dragon. It's fucking hilarious.
It is funny.
But Aegon doesn't want to be king at this point in time.
I actually thought when they find him and his brother and the twins like pull him out from underneath the like candles or whatever,
Yeah.
and he like runs and his brother like chases him, I was like, oh, he's gonna kill him, because he even says in the episode like they want to make him king, like
Yeah.
I'm the one who should be king, like blah blah blah. And so when he like
He has
tackled
the
him to
biggest baddest dragon, so like
yeah, and he like tackles him to the ground, and Kristen at the time is like fighting one of the twins, so it was like not able to help much. I
Yeah.
literally thought he was gonna kill his brother.
so did I.
I was like, he's gonna murder him.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. Didn't happen. He
Yeah.
basically just like gives him one of these and is like, "Shut up, bitch.
He
You're gonna be
wants
king."
to make sure that Aegon can smell what the Rock is cooking.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't raise an eyebrow. Sorry.
Neither can I. I was going to try, and then I saw you do it, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Follow us on YouTube.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's a weird situation. And yeah, I don't know.
During
this
all
episode-
of this, like Rhaenys is. Sorry, not to cut you
Oh,
off.
no, you're right.
But-
This is where we should go
yeah,
because this
Rhae-
leads into the ending.
Rhaenys, who, as we saw in the last episode, decided to side with Rhaenyra and betroth her daughters to her sons, even though they're
Mhm.
cousins, which is a whole other side of.
There's a whole lot of
Incest.
incest in this show.
For it being from Game of Thrones, there's a lot less shown.
Mm.
And it's probably because of how heavy the incest is. I would assume.
It's super weird because I read something before the show came out that Matt Smith was uncomfortable with how much sex there was in this show because he's like, there's way more than Game of Thrones. But there really hasn't. I
think it
understand
was
that it.
cut, if I had to assume.
Yeah.
Probably because of the fact that majority of the sex is incestual.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But yeah.
They did show Jamie and what's her face? Cersei.
Yeah.
Like doggy style though. So, and they were brother and sister.
But there wasn't at that point in time there was no nudity for them
Yeah.
doing it.
That's true.
because you at least see half of Matt Smith's ass a couple episodes ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does it make it better? Not really.
No.
Not at all.
Anyways.
But
moving on.
yeah. So Rhaenys is like a prisoner. She's asked to bend the knee. She's like, yeah, I don't think so.
Hold on. You gotta go back, because you gotta talk about the fact that
This is in her prison penthouse.
they lock her into her room.
Oh,
And
yeah.
she's like, what the fuck? Like, let me out of here. And Alicant comes in there and is like, oh, I'm not dropping that. Never. Alicant comes in there and she's
Goodbye,
like,
most of our female listeners. Women listeners.
who? No. Alicent is a bitch, dude.
Yeah.
No, I don't even take that back.
A lot of people just don't like that word. I'm very comfortable with it.
You want to call me a dick? Call me a dick. Whatever. I don't care. Anyways, moving on. Alicent for baby ears over here.
I don't care. It's just funny.
Goes to her and is basically like, hey, we all know you should have been, named the king or queen, queen, whatever. Yeah. And she gives her like this awkward ass hug. And she's like, you got to listen to me. We're going to, we got to kill.
In the name of feminism, let's name a man king instead of your niece.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, she's basically like, dude, we got to kill your niece. And you just get on board with it. It's cool. We know you.
We know that you should have been queen, and you're all about female power and women's rights and equality.
Yeah.
But the man should be king instead of, the firstborn living heir.
And didn't she say something? She said something super like back to Alicant. She's like, didn't she say like you're destined to like serve men? That's your role.
It was
like
along the lines of like,
yeah,
you think that you are in power, but you've only been serving men your entire life.
Yeah. And she's like, well, I can manipulate men. And that's what Alicent says back to her, is like, I can do it from behind the shadows. I can manipulate them and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, anyways, they have a weird, awkward hug where Alicent is like, we're on the same page. And I talked a lot. You go.
No, you're very right. But as we mentioned earlier, like one of the twins just kind of like fucks off when Kristen and Aemon find Aegon. And we find out that one of the twins is a little bit more in line of, this is the heir that is publicly known. You shouldn't be held captive here. All of this is wrong. Let's get you out of here. So the one that fucked off during the fight to capture Aegon goes and rescues Rhaenys, and he's like, no, we can't go to the dragon pit. They're going to look for you there. We can't just go to the main port. They're going to be looking for you there. I have a ship set aside. They get sidetracked because it's now the coronation naming.
They get separated.
Well, they get separated because of the crowd. Because so many of the commoners,
Sheep,
the citizens. Yeah, that's a very Republican view. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just saying the way that they like the assholes, the bad guys, like herd them, like forcefully, like force them into
to fill the citadel.
It's not like,
which
hey,
you might notice was the citadel that exploded, killing all of the Martells.
Yeah, but you could say like, hey, there's an event happening at this time. Be there or be square. And they were like, no.
It's only been like 24. Get in there. It's only been like 24 hours. So I mean, like, back then they didn't really know. But
no,
Rhaenys
but they
gets
like forcefully put these people into this building.
It's like knights on horses with whips and swords, like guiding these people to fill a room.
Cheap.
Yeah.
Fight back. No. God damn it.
Give it back.
Yeah.
Slap in the base.
Slap in the base. Anyways.
But Rhaenys is led into the high scepter, the high septum, the church. And she finds a way out. We see her disappear down a hallway.
During the
coronation of Aegon II.
Yeah.
And my God, was that the longest My Chemical Romance music video entrance I've ever seen?
It was Shrek. I sent you the thing. Did I not send you the thing?
It also is Shrek.
Yeah.
If you take the entire scene, I'm just talking about Aegon's walk.
Yeah,
you just hear the high G. And then you just know what's going to happen.
Lots of tips, touching, swords, if you will.
Swords.
As this kid is walking through, tips touching.
And he's super hesitant because he still doesn't really want to be king. And he's doubting that his father, Viserys, ever wanted him to be king because he's like, did he even love me? He even asks Alicent.
He even questioned Alicent if
she loved him. And she's like, ugh.
It's like,
I mean, you're kind of a piece of shit, but like, I birthed you. So like, as much as a mother can love a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was really mean.
No, it wasn't. He's a horrible. Yeah. He rapes handmaids and shit. Yeah.
And pays to watch children,
little kids, his own
fight.
Kids.
Yeah,
his own kids,
bastard kids, fight in like the pits. If you watched Game of Thrones, you know that like children, there were fighting pits for the children in Flea Bottom, and he would like go and like bet and like watch his kids fight in them. It's fucking terrible.
Yeah. Anyway,
but he walks through all the swords, gets coronated. Coronated, is that the right word? Yeah, coronated.
Yeah.
The crown is put on his head. They use Aegon Aegon the Conqueror's crown to put on his head. Give him Aegon the Conqueror's sword. And then he hears people chanting his name. And he's like,
fuck yeah.
Because he's the younger generation of what we're watching, he would be like the Gen Z. So he'd be like, all right, bet. Starts pumping his fist like a douchebag.
With the sword in his hand, yeah. And everybody starts cheering.
And then another Shrek moment.
We're talking about the dragon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, the dragon.
I didn't want to, yeah. And then somebody comes in on a dragon, they don't show you who, and just starts fucking shit up. I mean, tail wagging like a dog and just smacking bitches around the room. And I mean bitches as in men and women. I don't discriminate. And
if you're a bitch, you're a bitch. There's no gender to that.
Exactly. And as the dust starts to settle, I mean, Otto is screaming for everyone's trying to escape, and he's like, "Open the doors!" But the Knights Guard, is that what you call them?
The King's Guard, the
King's
gold
Guard
cloaks
are trying to close the doors, and as the dust starts to settle and the dragon gets closer, you see a person with blonde hair sitting on top of the dragon, and you're like, "Who the fuck is this?" And me and you and I
knew who it was.
Wanted it. I'm saying who we wanted it
who
to
I
be.
wanted it to be.
We
But
really
through logic,
wanted
I
it
knew
to
it
be-
wasn't this person.
I wanted it to be Damon. And be
Daddy
like,
Damon, say it right.
Yeah, Daddy Damon, and be like, "You're all gonna die." It was not. Who was it, Chadley?
It was Princess Rhaenys on her dragon. So when she snuck away, she went to the dragon pit, which went under the septum. busts through the floors with her dragon,
Mm.
has the opportunity to just destroy all the Team Green, if you will, the High Towers,
All of them.
are technically the true usurpers. Not the true heirs. They're the true treasonous. And she had the opportunity to say the glorious Valyrian word, which is, say it through your cough.
It wasn't cough cough. Oh, damn it. It might sound like Dracarys then.
Yeah. Looks at them, doesn't say it. The dragon roars. She yeets out of the septum and flies away.
Yeah. Knowing everything. So now she can go and tell Rhaenyra and Daemon, hey, these fucks tried to kill everybody, and including you and myself, if I didn't fucking go along with their shit plan. War is coming.
Yeah. Or winter. One of the two.
Stop. That was cheesy.
I know. I'm so sorry. But this episode is not the most dramatic penultimate episode that we've gotten from any of the Game of Thrones.
And everything that we've said so far on this show has been like underrated. Like, you have the tension that they fucking put into this scene is insane.
Throughout the entire episode, the chase between Otto's men, the twins, and with Kristen and Aemon, like that chase down is incredible. The conversation between Alicant and Rhaenys, like all of it. Yeah, I did that for you. You're welcome. Like, if you were unsure of this show before this episode, first off, I think that you just are wrong, because the show has been phenomenal. But this episode is so suspenseful and just like builds so much to this moment that I think that the penultimate moment of, not to use the same word again, but of the penultimate episode is probably more than Ned Stark's beheading in the first season of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. He just looked like he would lose that thing a lot,
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's Sean Bean. I mean, he dies in everything. So, I mean, there is...
Go, little one. Sorry.
But anyways.
But before we close out this episode, we do want to talk about our honorable mentions, which is a new thing that we're doing on this podcast. And for me, it was Halloween Ends with Jamie Lee Curtis and whoever the fuck plays Michael Myers these days. It was meh. Check it out, I guess.
That I kind of expected that, because I mean, the past two, I mean, they've been.
I really enjoyed the last one. I thought Halloween Kills was a lot of fun.
I liked it better than the one before that, which was just Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was...
How about you? Anything? Any mentions?
So, I mean, I've been watching Andor, which I know is something that we have not talked about on the show, and we do apologize for that. There's just been a lot going on with...
We haven't talked about Lord of the Rings either.
And that was the other thing I've been watching. Yeah. And honestly, both of them are so great.
Just there's so much lately that we've been talking about. We haven't had a chance to cover everything.
Yeah.
I would like to go back maybe and when like this winter, I assume we're gonna have some boring.
Yeah, we should go back and do both of them.
Yeah.
I do just want to mention with Andor, if you go into it expecting it to be The Mandalorian, you're not going to have a good time. You're just not. It is a really great show. It's just a slower pace, and it builds a lot of tensions and who Cassian Andor really is. I've really enjoyed it. It did take me a couple of episodes to be like, I have to kind of switch my mindset of it. It's not going to be as
action packed.
Yeah, it's a spy show. You know, it's about him being a covert operative and him joining the rebellion. Once I got past that, I love this show. It's so good. I mean, the actor that plays Cassian is fantastic. So definitely give it a watch if you haven't. Same with Rings of Power. If you're gonna be the type person who's like, oh, this is what Tolkien wrote about, like, shut the fuck up. He never published anything about anything before The Hobbit while he was alive. So half the shit that was published after his death has nothing to do with his wishes. So get bent. Sorry about that, everyone. Jake is pushing through an illness, just really bad seasonal flu, whatever it might be. And also his internet gave out. So I'm just going to finish this up. Go watch Andor and Rings of Power. That's kind of what we were finishing up on. Really great shows. Also, I mean, we do have our new subscription service. We went away from Patreon because fuck Patreon. So now it is through a website called buymeacoffee.com. So if you search All Things Nerd Podcast, or it might just be All Things Nerd Pod, either way, the link is in the bio. That's a great way to support us if you love what we're doing. It's a great way to do one-off donations, do a monthly subscription, get some bonus content, bonus exclusive merch. All of that's included. Or you can also just go to allthingsnerdpodcast.com. Check out our web store. It's a great way to buy merch, to support us. Also, we have a lot of fantastic art up on the website right now from all of our partners through the Battle of the Sketches. So it's a great way to buy one-of-a-kind, one-off sketches from incredible artists from around the world. So check that out as well. All that is in the links down below, links in the bio, allthingsnerdpodcast.com. Also through our link tree, again, linked below. All that's there. I mean, on behalf of Jake and I mean, we love you all so much. Thank you for being a part of this community, letting us do what we do, and supporting us along the way. All that being said, this is the All Things Nerd Podcast.